The Suns and Minnesota were number 2 for me.
Boom! Let's stop right here. I'm glad we got to this point. And I'm glad the Suns in Minnesota are playing. I'm so glad. And I love it when my fellow brothers' agendas play each other. Because now,
well done, Riff. Way to call this out.
I get to ask questions.
Job.
And I get to expose them. So Joel, my brother, you are an honorary on the podcast. Honorary Minnesota fan. Those are your brothers.
I love the Timberwolves.
Love the Timberwolves. You love the Vikings. That's your home. I give you that. Because of your girlfriend, shout out to Jess, you are now Phoenix Suns. You lock in. Of course, you love Katie. I will give you that note.
I like the Suns.
Yeah. So,
yes.
So these are your teams that you've been riding hard this year.
And I've heard, last year. I can't give up on the Suns all season.
You can't.
That's all I heard.
It has to. The flip has to happen at some point. Even though they lost to PG and Russell Westbrook the other day, we kind of ignored that, but it's cool and whatever. They were down 40 at one point, but at some point, as he said, the flip has to switch eventually, right? The lights got to come on. So
the switch has to flip.
Switch has to flip. Flip has to switch. Who cares?
Talk.
What are your thoughts on this series, man?
Have you guys ever seen the meme where you're tearing up and you have
the gun
pointing?
That's
you got to choose one. This is how I feel. The Wolves drew the worst possible matchup. This year,
worst fourth quarter team.
We know they are elite defensively. This year, the Timberwolves have been an elite defensive team. 64.8%. The Wolves allowed that percentage of shots from the restricted area and 3-point area. They only allowed their opponents to take 64.8% of the shots in those areas. That was the league's lowest opponent rate. It makes sense. You're building your defense off of limiting threes and attacking the paint. 2 of the most efficient shots in basketball, most used shot types. Phoenix is a mid-range team. Guess what? They don't really attack the basket. Guess what? They are on a high-volume 3-point shooting team. This is a series where if the Wolves win, it's going to be because of one of 2 reasons. Either Anthony Edwards is the best player in the series, and I'm not saying he's not capable of it because I think he is.
Not
or Cat,
Kevin Durant,
or
Devin Booker,
bro.
But I seen Anthony Edwards average 30 plus in the playoffs before, so I can see that.
Historic
no,
last year.
I know that. Or Cat shows up. But in this series, the Suns have 2 of the best 3 players in the series. The Suns are going to win in 6. I think they're winning this series. It's a terrible matchup for the Wolves. It's a terrible draw. The Suns are winning in 6.
Imagine that.
Hey, Minnesota fans, y'all heard it here first, man.
Tough season for Minnesota.
Top 3 seed, and you lose in the first round. Tough.
Are you going with the Suns also?
We're just talking about exciting teams right now.
We're not making our predictions right now.
You can make your predictions, man. Don't take him to make his prediction. Coward's way out.
I'm gonna wait.
So number 2, we all have the Suns and Timberwolves. That's the most
I do think it would be
one.
exciting, even though the Suns have whipped their ass 3 times.
So you're really not picking a winner here.
I can give my
Not
prediction.
yet. I'll pick it later.
I'm gonna go with the.
Can I pick it later? Is that okay?
Are we all gonna? We should either all pick it now or all pick it later.
I'm gonna give it right now. You can go last, so you have time to think, because this guy doesn't know where he's going right now. I believe it, unless you know in your heart.
I know where I'm going.
All right, I'm going with Minnesota. Understanding that their defense has been the best all season long. The offense has been a question, but now you get Karl Anthony Towns back, and I understand that he did come back late into the season. Obviously, damn near last game of the season, but it's better to have him than to not. Anthony Edwards has been sensational all year long, too. Understanding he's going to make his All-NBA team, and Rudy Gobert has been anchoring down that defense. You have Jaden McDaniels. Mike Conley's been one of the most efficient three-point shooters. Kyle Anderson, who has not been one of the most efficient players, but defensively, obviously, you know what he offers you, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. This is a great, sound team. Offense is obviously the concern, but we understand that with the Suns, we've seen them be the epitome of inconsistent, especially when it comes to that fourth quarter. I'm going to trust what I've seen all season long. I'm going to go with the team that, you could argue lacks experience, but they already felt that heartbreak last year against the Denver Nuggets, who did win the title. Obviously, they lost to the better team, but they lost to the Memphis Grizzlies, a series that they lost in 6, and you could argue they should have won in 6 games. Lost to the better team in Denver. Obviously, they were undermanned as well. That definitely took a toll on them. But this year, you're basically at 100%. There's no excuse. And the Suns, who have been, again, the epitome of inconsistent, I'm going with the team who has just been more well-rounded, more consistent. I'm going with Minnesota, even though Like you already said, they do have 2 of the 3 best players in this series. But I'm going with the better team, and that is Minnesota.
Who you got, Riff?
I'm going Minnesota, man. Listen, the Suns just all year long, man, they have not been good in the fourth quarter. All year long, they have not developed a proper, consistent winning formula when it comes down to those stretches. And when you watch this team, it's just a bunch of turnovers, stuff like not getting in sync offensively. And shout out to Grayson. He digged it back. Got to shout out him for nice little calm, 18 mil a year, something like that, calm back.
Great deal.
Yeah, I just think with Minnesota, the Phoenix Suns are going to attack the mid-range area. They're going to get to their spots. I think Minnesota just has the perfect one-on-one defenders for this type of matchup with the perfect help side defenders. I know, Nurkic is going to be able to play in this series, which is going to be an advantage for Phoenix. But I just look at Ant. I look at Jaden. I look at Rudy. Cat's coming back. That's going to be huge for the Mike Conley. I look at them boys, Kyle and Naz Reid, when they come in. I just think defensively they'll be able to hold down Phoenix just enough until them fourth quarters. And I feel like they're not as volatile like the Suns in the fourth. I know they have their blunders too, but there was a point in the season where, and I think they still do, they have the most wins against top teams, if not, and they were one of the most clutch teams in the league in the first half of the year. So at one point they've shown me it, and Phoenix has yet to show me that all year. So I'm going to trust what I've seen from Minnesota consistently. And I know, the Suns have Devin Booker, they have Kevin Durant, but I think Minnesota's suffocating defense can warrant some real issues for them. Phoenix can get small at times, and they don't have many bodies though. Ant, if Ant takes that next leap, because he did say, it's playoff time, he's war ready. Yeah. So if Ant takes that next leap, I think this team with Cat, if Cat learns how to be aggressive, be a bully, be more, in the paint, in the post, you're gonna have a lot of mismatches in the series with these guys. I think Minnesota can get it done. So I got Minnesota. I ain't gonna say how many games, but I do have Minnesota winning.
6 or 7?
I don't know, man.
I'm feeling 6, personally.
I'm feeling 7.
This is tough. I hadn't made my decision until I think you finished, Riven. I was going back and forth in my head because whoever loses, the conversations around them are going to be so nasty. The pressure on this series, there's a ton of pressure. Same thing with the Clippers and Mavericks, because the Wolves have been the 1 seed, if not 1, 2, 3, within a half game all season long. They figured out kind of the 2 big combination after they struggled a bit last season. Of course, had injuries last season too. Anthony Edwards got better. This is Jaden McDaniels post getting it back. This is Naz Reid having a breakout season. So they've had so many positive things happen to them this season. And if they were to go out in the first round, I think regardless of Ant being young and Jaden being young and Kat still relatively young, I think we looked at as a pretty big disappointment. Suns, though, same way. This team was built to win a championship. So I think there's even more pressure on them because it's not even about getting past round 1. Like, you need to be a legitimate contender for you to look at this roster and justify paying it. Now, shout out to their new owner, shout out to Matt, because he's willing to pay it. Just gave Grayson Allen that contract. You have 3 dudes on a supermax. He's willing to pay that bill when it comes up. It's a battle of 2 styles between this team. You mentioned it, Joel, because no team takes more mid-range jump shots than the Phoenix Suns. They have some of the best in the NBA. I don't blame them for doing it, but it definitely takes away some of the, I think, defensive upside of the Timberwolves when you have a guy like Rudy Gobert, who is the best in the NBA in terms of protecting the rim. So when you have KD and Devin Booker being able to get to their spots, although they're going to have to beat some of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA when you're going up against Jay McDaniels, going up against Anthony Edwards, I think I just trust the body of work Minnesota's given me this season over the Phoenix Suns. They both struggle in the fourth quarter. I know the Suns have been terrible. Minnesota's bad in the fourth quarter too. They're just not historically bad. So I think this is going to be a 6 or 7 game series, but I would take the Minnesota Timberwolves here.